welcome our first presenter, Rick Chiang, to the stage. So Rick is the owner of Pain Free Physiotherapy in Brisbane. He started his RM training in 2010.
My topic is about pain descending inhibitory pathway. Please note, I do not call it the descending pain inhibitory pathway. I will explain why the correct terminology is important and how the new understanding will support new solutions to musculoskeletal dysfunctions. This is a brief introduction about me. I'm a titled APA musculoskeletal physiotherapist. This is my 5th year in RM. I run a multidisciplinary team in Brisbane. These are my 4 M's for today. Please take 10 seconds to read through the slide. Finish? Good. Okay, the loop model of pain was articulated for physiotherapy by Louis Gifford, 1998. It was the contemporary pain model that I learned during my MANIP master training. In the model, pain can occur at the input level, the processing level, or the output level. However, it is my intention to argue that pain is 100% output of the brain. This case study was published by the British Medical Journal by Fisher et al. This photo shows the nail as it penetrated the boot while worn by a 29-year-old builder. The nail passed directly between the builder's toes without causing any tissue damage. The builder, however, expressed considerable pain and distress before the boot was removed. Well, if there was no tissue damage, why did the builder experience pain? This example demonstrated tissue damage is not a prerequisite to pain. In mainstream world, people often say painful stimuli stimulate the pain receptor. This is misleading. Dr. Lorimer Mosley and many neuroscientists have clarified that there are no painful stimuli. All stimuli produce electrical signals which have no conscious experience of pain. You can have noxious stimuli which may or may not produce painful experience by the conscious brain. For example, right now, you are receiving noxious stimuli just by sitting here listening to me. I mean, if I do a whole body scan as per box 3 of the RM process, I can easily find 20+ asterisk signs on you. These asterisk signs are constantly sending noxious input to the brain, and yet your brain does not necessarily create pain in response. So there are no painful stimuli or pain receptors. There are only noxious stimuli and nociceptors. You may then say, well, all noxious stimuli are painful, aren't they? Not always. Can anyone give me any example when noxious stimuli do not lead to pain? What about wounded soldiers on battlefield? In order for survival, the brain decides not to create pain so that the soldier can fight or flight. Other examples include people in vegetative state, under hypnosis, during competition, etc. So how are dysfunctions and pain generated? Let's illustrate by this slide. A client may have hyperextending running posture that keep putting stress on the T7-8 joint. So there are noxious input from the T7-8 joint. These noxious input conducted by the A delta and C fibers are electrical signals conveying danger message to the central nervous system. The subconscious brain plus the spinal cord creates protective reflex responses to protect the body. The reflex is fast, usually less than 300 milliseconds, and can manifest as the asterisk signs, for example, hamstring tightness. If the noxious input from the T7-8 joint continues because the client maintains his hyperextended posture, then the reflex response, the hamstring tightness, may escalate to affect his functional control, such as decreased ability to run. If the client keeps running with hyperextended posture again and putting more stress to T7-8 joint despite his hamstring tightness, then the subconscious brain will tell the conscious brain to create an output pen in order to change the behavior, for example, stop running. Only if the danger escalates above a threshold that the subconscious brain decides is significant, then the subconscious brain will respond by sending signals to the conscious brain to create pain and map this on the body wherever the subconscious brain considers is most relevant at the time. So a client may come to see us because of pain labeled by his doctor as hamstring strain, and yet the primary source is in his T7-8. By treating the hamstring, we will not get fast result because the source of the noxious input is still there. By treating the T7-8, however, we'll remove the source of the worst noxious input, and the brain will have no reason to produce pain. The medical world in general classifies pain into acute and chronic. It is often said that acute pain is from tissue damage, i.e. occurs at the input level. So the treatment should look at the area of pain for the source. And then when the pain becomes chronic, it is due to nerve sensitization at the process level. So treatment should direct at retraining the brain. Well, many studies, including RCTs and systematic reviews, have highlighted how low the success rate is using this approach. Many neuroscientists, including Dr. Mosley, have emphasized that pain is 100% output of the brain, and it is designed to protect you. The brain creates the sensation or illusion of pain to stop further strain on the source of the most noxious input, which in RM term is called the primary contributing factor, PCF. The PCF is often away from the site of body. By identifying and treating the PCF, the result can be robust regardless of chronicity of the condition. Another frequently misused terminology is the descending pain inhibitory pathway. We often see this kind of diagram in textbook where there are two neurons linked by an inhibitory interneuron. The interneuron releases inhibitory neurotransmitters and inhibit the transmission of noxious input through the postganglionic neuron. Please note, the interneuron is inhibiting the noxious input rather than pain, because remember, pain is 100% output of the brain. So the correct terminology should be descending noxious inhibitory pathway, or simply descending inhibitory pathway. So why is this new understanding more helpful for clients and practitioners? We know in mainstream medicine, diagnosis and treatment are often based on the area of pain and symptoms. Many studies, including RCTs and systematic reviews, have highlighted how low the success rate is using this model in treatment. When we adopt the correct understanding, we can more effectively target our diagnosis and treatment at the source of the most noxious input. This will make rapid and comprehensive solution possible, thus enhancing our understanding, motivation, and prevention. Clients and practitioners will then enjoy greater satisfaction. So in conclusion, so these are the conclusion. And the take-home message is pain, the last 2 points. Pain is 100% output of the body. And painful, and nociception, noxious, should not be used interchangeably. Thank you very much.